So we've got a whole lot of missions. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to make the Mun or not. Let's take a look at the research bay to find out what capabilities we have. Mun landing is out there and it's 80 science. We have 179 science. We're definitely grabbing environmental science because this is going to help us get more stuff more quickly. So we'll research this. If we get solid fuel boosters, obviously that's going to help, then orbital rocketry. Orbital rocketry gives us some bigger boosters and other stuff like the Terrier orbital Methalox engine. So we have a third type of engine. Before we had the Reliant and the Swivel. But we have this third type of see, I can't remember what the Reliant, what type of engine the Reliant was, but the Swivel was called a Sustainer, and this is an orbital. So, yeah, as you can see, the atmospheric ISP, that's the efficiency of the engine, is very, very low, but the vacuum ISP is quite good, so we're going to grab one of those. Do we go for Mun landing? This gives us lander can and a much larger fuel tank. We don't need struts. Reaction control system would be good, possibly. Probes. Probes helps us with electrical management, which is going to be important. We're going to have to have a way to store some electricity. So we'll get that. Lights and utilities. This could be good for our landing sites and other things. I'm wondering if I have enough science. We would need, in order to make this work, to do a Apollo style lander, we would need something else. We need survivability. Do we have any docking ports in this tier of tech tree? Here we go. Basic docking, 50 points. So it's 65, 75 points just to get basic docking, in addition to Mun landing. Well, our mission only calls for Mun orbital stuff. So I don't know that I really need anything else. We got orbital rocketry, solid fuel boosters, light launchers. Maybe I'll grab Mun landing just to have it and start working our way towards basic docking. We have probes. We don't need lights and utilities necessarily. So specialized decoupling, sure. And then we're just shy of anything else, so all of our science has been spent. Let's get into the vehicle assembly building and start building a rocket to accomplish our mission. All right, we are here in the vehicle assembly building. Zooming randomly. So we're just building an orbiter to get into orbit around the Mun. And to do that, we'll take a look at the trip planner to see what it has to say as far as delta V required. If I say we're going to do a round trip, you know, it kind of thinks that I need to spend a whole lot of energy landing on Kerbal when I really don't. So I'm going to use a one-way trip on the trip planner just to plan out this set of modules. And basically, what I'm looking to do is probably... So I'm thinking about what I'm doing right now is thinking about the mission, how I want to break this up so that I can have a craft capable of the various parts, right? We're actually not going to land on the surface. However, if I have sufficient delta V to land on the surface, I know that I can do all my MUN maneuvers, including escape and resetting my trajectory back to Kerbin. Or at least I reasonably believe that's the case. So from MUN intercept to low orbit is 280. Getting back out of low orbit is another 280. So that's 560. And then if I add 580, so basically I'm looking for 1100 delta V, I think, for this mission phase. And that's kind of how we can think about how to break apart these missions into things that are capable for us to get done. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is actually get my lander can suitable for a landing on Kerbin after having come back from the MUN, which will be, quite a lot of thermal pressure. Okay, so now we need a decoupler to get the stage done. And our primary maneuvering stage. So this is a 2,137 Delta V craft. And I really only need it to be 1,100. So we're going to get rid of that. And build like so. And I want to make sure this is set to vacuum. Yep. So that gives us 1,300 delta V, which is more than enough, plenty, to insert and extract, and fly off to Kerbin. Okay, next vehicle on the stack. So this stage is probably just going to be the sustainer launcher. Okay, it was a launcher phase. And I'm pulling out all my information here. This is going to be, we're going to call it vacuum. So MUN intercept is 860 delta V from low Kerbin orbit. Basically, the way this is, I have maybe 900 delta V left over that I can apply towards the low Kerbin orbit. So 34 minus 900 is 2500. The launcher stage only needs to have 2500 delta V to get us where we're going. So I can start seeing how these rockets get quite large and quite complicated rather quickly. Engines, a launcher stage. Now this one, it has 1600 delta V. Question is, what's its thrust to rate ratio? The thrust to rate ratio is practically non-existent right now, so that would barely get off the ground. It says we need more delta V. Now I know that I'm only actually targeting targeting 2400 delta V in this lower stage. So one of these engines is giving us quite a lot to work with. What sort of other things do we have hanging out there that might be useful? Can't forget that we're going to be bringing science this whole way, in fact. Doggo barking in the background. Now that has a pretty big impact on our delta V. We need 560. We need 1100 here. So this stage actually needs to be bigger. Will that do it? Yeah, 1290 is good. Okay, that means since I adjusted the weight up here and we're taking that weight all the way along with us, we definitely need to readjust everything down below. Vacuum is 1494. So really, we need, oh, hang on. The intercept is 860. So 1500 minus 900 is 600 delta V. So there's really only 600 delta V complementing our low Kerbal orbit, which means we need this stage down here to provide 2800 delta V in order to work. That's where we start adding in some boosters. Booster. We do have this interesting adapter, though. That fixes our thruster weight ratio problem that we were having before. However, in order to get that rocket moving, we need, let's pull up the engineer's report. It's probably going to tell me, oh, our thruster rate's great. So that's actually too much thruster rate. We're not getting as much out of that deal as I really need. If I do this, plop on a couple of boosters, you know, some bigger ones, some thumpers, for example. Then we end up with I'm just going to rearrange my staging here, combine all the engines, get rid of that. That actually doesn't give us as much delta V as I would hoped. So we're going to do something different. Back to coupling. Let's use some liquid rockets. Like so. And if I put swivels on here, I have really, really good control over how this rocket's going to go. I'll just go ahead and combine these two stages. Aerodynamics, like so. And let me see here. So we get 3,361 delta V, and we only needed 3,000, right? Yeah. Okay. My engineer's report tells me that the thruster weight is not that bad. Thruster rate's 1.46. So really, this whole thing just launches all at once. Engines are going to cut off at various times. Then we switch to our boosting sustainer. Our booster stage. I mean, it says we have plenty of delta V to get to the moon. I am going to reduce the amount of fuel in these slightly. And that comes in awfully tight. Intercept low orbit. Well, I mean, considering that we aren't landing on the moon, though. But if I don't fly that so tight, we have plenty of delta V. Is this correctly set to atmosphere? Yes, it is. Okay, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and thrust limit this one to 50%. That way it'll last longer. Our thrust rate ratio is only 1.18 if I do that. All right. Well, according to the metrics, this is plenty to land on the moon and everything, or certainly to intercept the moon, potentially to land on the moon. Or MUN. I'm tempted. No, we're not going to do that. I was gonna say I'm tempted to put landing gear on here. Let's go ahead and get some stabilizer control. This will be handy for making sure a rocket doesn't go completely off the rails during its ascent. And the other thing we want to do is get ourselves a set of clamps connected to hold this rocket in place while it launches. So what's the name of this one? We had Curbstone, Kerbery for the Mercury ones. This isn't quite Apollo, right? And just looking at name ideas here. How about Kerbless? Vehicle name Kerbless 1. Save that, and I think with this we're ready to fly it and find out what happens. I mean, that's part of what science and discovery mode is all about. The exploration mode is to build stuff and see what you're able to actually get away with. And with that, I think we... Oh, hang on. I was going to say, I think we're ready for launch, but as always before launch, make sure you check your staging. So the clamps release and the rockets fire at the same time. Then this stage goes, and then that stage goes, and this engine fires, so we can join those stages together. Same thing with this stage here. We can join the decouple and the engine activation stage. And lastly, we can join the decouple and parachute stage. Other things we want some communication. I forgot. So we're not quite done. We need to build some communication here. And I am going to make this look, you know, somewhat nice. So we'll rotate it in. What else do we need? So this whole module down here is going to be basically servicing this entire flight. So I want to make sure it has all the resources it needs. We'll pack on a little bit of extra battery. And just some solar panels for charging. And hopefully that's good enough.